Does the universe test us? This is a common phrase that is heard if we find ourselves in the field of the seeking mind. So this came up recently quite a few times, and so inspires this video. The universe is testing me, and this is most often shared when we find ourselves moving through, one way of being, one may say, to another through this process of transformation. And of course, as always, no answer can come from outside of us. Each state of mind perceives, interprets, experiences, and expresses its own nature. And therefore, each state of mind gets to determine its own reality, or the perception and experience of reality. The unnameable, unknowable, non-dual reality, that which is I am. Such is the liberating power of Shakti, manifested consciousness, mind. I'd like to invite us to kind of explore into this and to share a perspective on this. This that we hear often where, it was shared where it's like universe is testing me. And this yesterday especially came up when it was shared that this is something that is even heard from, some of the teachers who are awakened and who are sharing this. So before I jump in, I want to make very clear that first and foremost is to see that to even bring forth and share that which is non-linear, that which is formless, that which we are already. And this whole journey, one may say, of transformation that we are going through uniquely, each of us, and to put that into words, right? The world of form that we live in. We use words, we use actions. These are two different dimensions. This is the paradox. The non-dual is the dual, appears as the dual. But to bring the non-dual into the dual form, and that means that which we are, which of course each mind uniquely experiences, and to try to translate that through words, all of that through the dual, is can be quite a tricky proposition. And that is why, silence, they say, is the best. Really, ultimately, that's when our culture, they used to do satsangs. Sitting in the silence of this nameless, pathless truth. Because anything ultimately that we're going to say about it share about it is going to be inaccurate and simply a pointer. And also that when it is shared, to realize that many a times, and this is for the seeking mind, right? And sharing from our journey when we're seeking, these are pointers that can be very, very helpful. I've shared before that each state of mind is predominantly sharing simply their own perspective, their own journey, what they are experiencing. That's all we can do. And many a times when any state of mind is sharing it in words, many times it's set in a context. It's in response to a question. And that question is a state of mind that is asking. So the natural answer or response that arises for that state of mind, naturally the wordings are set in a way so that the questioning, seeking state of mind can kind of relate to it. It's like helping them take the next step. So that's why it's very important to hold the context and see it in the context. And that is why bringing any of this into the world of form and words can be tricky, because at the end of the day, the state of mind that is receiving it, trying to understand it, interprets it only from its own lens, from its own understanding. And that is why the invitation, eternal invitation for the seeking mind, is to come from the deepest knowing. One way to look at this is that the world that we perceive is an amalgam of states of consciousness. And as the seeking mind, as the five senses, when we are looking outwards, and that only happens because we are still predominantly identified in the third density paradigm, as if there is a truth outside of us, right? And the world outside, everything that we receive is symbolic. And that symbol is interpreted, the meaning of that. Everything, the core is the nature of the mind, the state of consciousness. That is the center. That is the lens through which we are seeing, taking in everything. That determines what will be perceived, right? Seen, understood. So the direct path, therefore, if we find ourselves moving outwards, looking, right, seeking a natural phenomena as we move through this transformation, the biggest and the most critical thing that we can really do for ourselves is, that's why, come from our deepest sense of knowing. The nature of the mind determines the level of awareness that determines everything. So the deeper this is, right, at the gross level, then we are stuck with the words. Then we only see what is on the top as a facade. We don't sense behind. But the deeper we are, sometimes, it's even the words just float by. You can sense the state of consciousness, because all is the consciousness. And that comes together, and there's a deeper sensing and an understanding that we would say is beyond even the thinking mind. And then, even then, when we hear words, anything, right? Otherwise, we are at the gross level. The level of awareness is kind of, like I said, the ocean, we are at the waves, right? We're here. And we listen to something, and then at the level of the words, the awareness is so less, again, simply for play, right? We're consciousness already. So at that level, that what happens is that we don't even realize that we are taking in these narratives as our truths. But that's why when we, and this is truly, the way that I sense it is deep, deep responsibility in the way that we show up in our own world. My being, my state of seeing, my way of interpreting this perceived so-called outer world, that is nothing but my own self. I am. I get to see, create, live my own world. Right? So then, what am I? What am I? This not to be really answered by words, by the thinking mind. This question really becomes our inner compass. So when we are coming from here, that's why the invitation is always, and I named this because many times in the conversations wherever we explore, which is very, very natural, I want to name this again. This is simply a phenomena, a tasting of the third density body-mind world that lives and experiences. We are living and experiencing what it means to live in separation, fragmentation, in lack, as if the outer world, right, unconsciously, as if the outer world has power. So the narratives of that many times come across as the outer world is doing this. Now this is very nuanced. There is a place to this, but the ultimate core is when we wake up to seeing the way that I see, the way that I interpret. That is the key. And therefore the invitation to come from our deepest self. So when we have narratives that, this is what is happening in the world, this is how they are sharing it, and this is why it's causing a confusion. This confusion will not happen, really. In our Indian language, in the Hindi language, we said, when there is clarity, and that's why clarity is symbolized by the goddess. One of the ways of seeing it, right? It's just the way that we see it. It's Devi Saraswati, goddess Saraswati, and her vehicle, as we say, is the swan. And the key thing about the swan is that they say the swan can drink milk in such a way that it takes in the essence of the purity of the milk, leaving the rest of the water, whatever is not required, outside. Discernment, viveka. It's in Hindi, we say, when we have this clarity and we move from that clarity, there's a deeper sensing. Doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani. That means the milk and the water can be clearly seen, even if they appear to be together. So it's the same with us, when we come from our deepest sense, we can really see that. We can see behind the words. So that lies within us. So that's why the invitation to come from the deepest self, and we come from that, we can clearly see the state of consciousness that is sharing. We can sense behind the words, We can sense that it's spoken in which context, for which state of mind, and then offers us much clarity. So to just kind of take this, and this applies to everything. I'm just picking this one because this was coming up in the field. And so the universe is testing me. Or when we hear words such as the universe is testing. Couple of things here. Of course, I want to name something again, that there is no answer, right? Each mind gets to. This is not in the realm of right or wrong. Each mind gets to and is experiencing it for itself. But the way that I sense into this always, and I ask, because this was coming up, is that the universe is testing me. How does this really feel? This is really important. That's why the resonance. Universe tests me. Does this feel expansive? Does this feel like our aligned truth in this moment? The more we are in touch with the awareness and the body awareness, that our body also has a tuning fork, it'll tell us. See, for me, and this was sensed in the conversations, when the minute it says universe is testing me, this first and foremost means I have put the universe outside of me. I am still standing as the personal self. This is the first and foremost pointer for me. Universe is outside of me. I am separate from it. The universe has higher authority. It is larger than me. So this kind of feels like the flavoring, the leftover flavorings, even when we are awakening. If we hear this, flavorings of the old paradigm of the religious beliefs that are carried, of a God that is larger, of a God that judges, and a God that tests. Absolutely not for me. I am life. All of life is me. Once we know that, see, the minute there is a gap between the I am that I think and what is outside of me, the minute there is a gap, then what have we added? This is the play of the third density body-mind world. The separate self and the world, there is time, that flavor I'm saying, linear, conceptual, time, space, condition. Then that is where we need to become aware. How are we perceiving? That is what we are going to experience. The self perceives and experiences its reality at every level. Swa-Dharma. That's why the Swa, the I am, will live and experience the dynamics of its own Dharma, nature. Again, I want to name this because the mind that we are conditioned in as the dual mind is steeped in this, that every state of mind, the relative level, is a sovereign state of mind that is experiencing whatever level that it is here to experience. So stepping out of the realm of right or wrong. And then sensing in this moment, where do we stand? Right? What is sense? This is deep sensing. Okay, so as long as there is separation, there is one. Then how would this feel? The universe is testing me. So this is an invitation that, of course, we can just offer to ourselves and explore. I also wanted to offer another perspective about the phenomena of mind and this lived experience as energy. Every state of mind, is like an energetic whirlpool, a vortex. And it's like that center, the I am again is the center, and the reality, the wheel of Maya, the vortex that goes around it. This is really key because this allows consciousness, that which we are, to experience and live its reality to be true. Right? So that pull, one may say, of that center of the whirlpool is important. That is why when we live as the third density thinking body mind world, right? We're living as this belief. That's why these beliefs and the habits that we live as are so sticky, right? I mean, we've sensed that, right? When we try to, look at a habit and we're like, oh my God, there I am, right? I share this also in the context of surrender, right? Like we want to surrender. We know this, right? We want to surrender, but we've experienced this, and I hear this all the time. I want to surrender. I get it, Supriya, at the same time. But there, next moment, I'm moving again in my thinking mind. Right? How many of us have experienced that? It is a natural phenomena. There is a momentum to this at the level of energy. And that's why the direct path, that's why is to, wherever I stand as that awareness, I'm aware. And that awareness, where does that happen? Always in the moment. Awareness is not a concept that happens in the thinking mind, future and past. Right? All these words now, all this, that's why I say only pointers. That's all this is in service of. There's nothing else that this can help with. Only in the now. Awareness. Aware. The more aware we are, that allows this aspect. So this vortex, this energy, right? It's like water, you can imagine that in the center. It has its own beliefs, it has its own. That is what makes each state of mind live its own reality to be real and valid. Right? So this is it. So whenever transformation is happening, whenever this change is happening, and at the edges, one may say, we're loosening, right? Transformation is happening. We're moving, let's say, from one state of mind into another, all relatively speaking at this point. Right? There are two aspects to this. That's why at the level of Shiva Shakti we say as mind, Shiva Tattva, that is the aware aspect that does not change. Stand as that. And then the Shakti aspect, the nature, the phenomena, ever changing. This is the space that we stand. But not rejecting this, one with this. Living life. Right? So this, when this energetic whirlpool, when that's changing, that awareness is there at the center, you can say, naturally as this clarifies, right? The seeing, the lens clears. This energetic whirlpool is changing. Now, when this is happening, it is so natural that the momentum of this energy that has been living certain ways of being and doing naturally will pull. Right? Pull it towards that stickiness is there. And that is what is experienced. And that is what many a times is worded perhaps that you see on the outer, where the teacher is saying, realize when you're shifting from this state of mind to the next. You still see things in your reality that are from not matching, right? Not matching your state of I am. And that is because there is a time lag. We've lived a certain way, and that time lag is there. So we see that even though the I am is completely different, we experience outer realities. And because every state of being has a pull, it's like a whirlpool, a vortex. It pulls you in. So you'll see that when the state of mind is moving from one to another, there are a lot of things that come up, right? We see this many times when we're trying, that that's a habit changing or something. When we say that is changing, that is when a lot of things come up. And then, of course, if we are standing in as the personal, as this thing, the words may come up, like, you know what, I'm being tested. It's simply a phenomenon. Every state of mind, the one mind that is appearing and dancing as different infinite worlds. Each world is the beauty, dynamic beauty of, one may say, ways of being, and from which the perceived doing arises. Everything, the core is the being, state of being. So this is the shift. The reason I bring this to, naming it to this, the universe is testing me. See, these are simply words. To look deeper into the way these words translate to us. If they are disempowering, we don't see the deeper meaning. It's personalized in a way that we are holding apart, to wake up to that. And this is for anything that we may come across as the seeking mind when we are looking outwards. Words are offered. Every state of mind, doesn't matter which teacher, which guru, whoever it is. Every state of mind is inherently, innately one, that which we are consciousness, simply veiling itself differently in avidya, ignorance. So each state of mind has different nuances of unconscious points. When we come from our deepest selves, we are conscious and aware. We can sense. When a teacher is sharing, and then there is, let's say, that unconscious aspect, it's fine. We can take what resonates. We each are helping and giving each other what we know, the best we know how. So then we can take what is needed. And then when we are in our deepest, it can be clearly sensed. There's a dissonance. No. That part of what came across does not align with my truth. Simple as that. Universe is testing me? No, that doesn't align. My universe does not test me. I am my universe. And if we are playing in the personal mind and desiring to interpret, right, that's simply a flavor of interpretation, meaning making is playing in the third density still. Right? Because as the reality that which we are, true self, I am life. Once we really know I am life, nothing to interpret, we just are. Every moment, then, to put it in time, words are set in time. Every awareness, what arises in awareness is me. And that play is not a conceptual, interpreted play. Innate intelligence. This is Christ consciousness, Krishna consciousness, Shiva consciousness, simply words for the unnameable, unknowable, that which we are, which we already are, not something to become. This mind is what interprets. And for play, right? If you want to, then we can always play, we're conscious, pick up mind. That's the beauty of the third density, this thing, that we can give meaning to things. That's the power for the third density, this thing. I get to give meaning to my world. I get to give meaning to my experiences, the way that I see. Right? So this is here. You can always give if you prefer that. So then here, if you want to use words, right? All words, all actions, all are only for this mind, right? The linear mind, the non-linear, that which we are. That's why it's stillness and silence. If we are playing at the level of words, taking in meaning, giving meaning, and the invitation, that's why the core is to become stand as aware as possible. When we take in the world, to deeply sense, does this resonate as my truth? If we have to put words, what is the most expansive, most liberating definition that I would give? I am life. My life is a blessing, benevolent, unnameable perfection. However we would like to, if we want to. And of course, last but not least, the one divine being that is playing all these games. It is impossible to be in a wrong place, to fail, make a mistake. Because all there is consciousness, one divine being, playing uniquely. That which I am at the relative level determines everything. Being is experiencing, becoming. Swa-Dharma, Swa-Tantra. That's why the I am, Swa, is the mechanism that allows Tantra mechanism And Swa-Tantra means freedom. But the Swa that lives in duality experiences the Swa-Tantra as in opposites, freedom and bondage. The Swa, I am, that is. Its Swa-Tantra is a liberation that is beyond contradiction, beyond an opposite. Sarvamangalam, unknowable, unnameable, already, ever present, blessed auspiciousness. That is what we are. So to deeply trusting and moving to that which we are knowing. That's the invitation. Much, much love. A beautiful day. Bye.